snowball really well if you get ahead in the laning phase and get into teamfights in the mid game.
I think the Sivir would be a better choice here just because we saw Smeb being able to deal with the Maokai very effectively. I mean, to be honest, he reminded me with his equalizers of Denzel Washington in his latest action film, The Equalizer, serving that much justice.
Okay, I've not seen it, so I
We've
can't
heard
really comment.
this thing from Croft for like 3 days now, and he really wanted to say it.
He asked me if it's
great.
all right if he talks about that, and also about balls, something about joking about that. But
Also, Maokai has been the 2 big points for you.
yeah, that's it. Rek'Sai, final ban here for GE Tigers. So on the red side, didn't want to first pick Rek'Sai. Leaves Jarvan open, which is what they banned last time around, and it looks like Spirit's going to take that straight away.
So no Maokai for Aluka just yet. Can still go for it, obviously, because GE Tigers decided to go Rumble instead, a pick we have seen work against the likes of Maokai beforehand. I'm still a little bit surprised about Spirit being so happy about this Jarvan here after the nerfs, because it's been hit and miss for him, honestly. We've seen him being shut down completely in the early game. We know Lee has the ability to do it. We've also seen him do fairly well. And I know it's his main pick back from the LPL, and where they haven't played on 5.4 yet in terms of like the LPL.
I'm really expecting to see a Sivir pick rounding out this World Elite composition just because they're more than likely going to get the Janna, going to get the Jarvan. They've ran this composition the entire tournament, and a speed comp versus the Rumble is really useful because you can get out of the Equalizer relatively safely, unlike the Kalista that we saw last pick, who just kind of fries in it.
It's exactly the same setup we see for them. They take the Janna for some sort of disengage at least, and then you just have full-on dive in. No Diana this time. I wonder if Ahri might come in the mid lane, or potentially this Annie pickup. We know he plays it. He's the second most played champion in solo queue, and also he used to play when he was on World Elite Academy. The few games he got in there, in the LPL, well, he didn't play it. He was banned away, honestly, in almost all the games. But he plays Annie mid lane.
He does play it.
This is the time to pull it out.
The question is, do you take a risk now and go with that? Just try it. I mean, probably worth the risk at this stage.
Yeah.
Either way, Lee Sin for Lee, and we also see Gorilla will take Nami this time.
I think the risk you have here running the Annie mid lane is that with the Lee Sin Rumble versus the Sion, it's not that easy to focus that lane just because of how tanky the Sion can be. And, you know, yes, snowballing the Rumble is good for your team. You know, shutting down Sion doesn't really do all that much for you. And the Ahri is going to be the pick. And then, again, another high-skill match.
Oh, wow, okay.
Another very high-skill mid-lane matchup.
Yeah, I really don't agree with Mystic going Ezreal here. I don't really see how that's going to do enough for World Elite in terms of the laning phase and the potential snowball. They need to win this game. Sivir would have been so much better for the entire composition. But GE Tigers changing it up a little bit. Still a lot of kite coming in, but suddenly you have the Yasuo, who's obviously going to be together with Lee, Sin, and Lee together as well, the 2 guys, to set up some nice kicks, and of course the Nami.
I think that Yasuo's win wall should block Sion's ultimate as well. Like, he should just run into it and kind of fall over or something like that. But either way, interesting choices coming out of WE and GE Tigers this time.
Yeah, and both mid laners going all in, but will it be enough to keep World Elite in the tournament? We'll find out right after this.
And welcome back, guys, to the Intel Extreme Masters, our final semi-final of the day, WE versus the GE Tigers. And GE with a possibility to move on to the grand finals off of this Yasuo pick for KurO. It was a pretty interesting pick ban, wasn't it?
I have a question quickly before you jump in here.
Okay.
Do you think KurO is a little bit frustrated he gave up a solo kill to Xiye, and this Yasuo could be a reply?
I mean, possibly, of course,
perhaps.
you can break, you can block a lot of the charms and orbs of deception coming in. Obviously, this is not a pick that we see very much in competitive play. He's been getting slowly buffed a little bit, little movement speed here and there, but coming into this is KurO's third competitive game on Yasuo in his career, so it's definitely not a champion he's known for. He has not played it at all in 2015.
Right. Well, we'll see what he can do as we...
He's 2-0.
Yeah, he's
2-0 all time.
Perfect record. Just like Lee's Rengar. A perfect win rate. Well, here we go. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, guys. GE Tigers versus WE. As my voice goes back to its normal timbre. We'll see.
Timbre.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here to help me with my pronunciation.
Well, you've been struggling a little bit today. I got to help you out where I can.
I can't deny this. GE Tigers looking to maybe get a ward in here. Gorilla just chasing Mystic away. There's a bloodthirsty support right there. Gets the deep ward in. Deep-ish.
It looks like it's going to be standard lanes for the time being. Praying Gorilla, Lee rocking the SKT skin on Lee.
It's the motivation for him to get a skin later on.
Do you really want to channel your inner Bengi, though, if you're Lee? I'm not so...
Maybe not anymore.
So sure.
But the skin is in memory or memoir, depending on...
Memoriam?
Well, he's actually still alive, guys, just not at this tournament.
He's still doing okay.
Although maybe these days, the new skin perhaps a little more appropriate.
Perhaps, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not Lee's going to put some pressure in that top lane and try to help out Smeb again, or if he wants to maybe help out KurO as well, especially once they get to level 6. Just the amount of kill threat that you do have with that Yasuo plus Lee is going to be terrifying.
Yep.
And just, looking at the draft right here, I thought that they may go for a double AD again with this composition, as we saw that last pick. And Nami effectively just providing a disengaged support, just like we would see in their last composition. But that last pick coming in, I think the Nami, once the Janna was taken away and the Ezreal was removed, I think they were just like, well, we got Nami, screw it. Let's just go for the Yasuo and see what we can do. Because at this point in the tournament, G's probably very confident, right?
Yeah.
And they want to make sure, this is probably a little bit of a mind game for TSM to say, hey, we have this pocket pick available. Because if KurO has a strong performance here on this, it's just one more wrench in the works of TSM's plan to play against this. So it's very valuable in this situation, I feel.
That's really how KurO's been, though, all season, right? I mean, just when you think he's run out of mid laners to play, he brings out the Victor. Today it's the Yasuo. And like you said, if he does well, it's a scary thought for TSM to have to deal with potentially another champion in the mid lane.
And for all we know, too, because GE has played so standard in terms of their composition throughout this tournament, or standard by GE, we really don't know if they have anything special prepared. They certainly haven't been challenged enough to show it.
True, very true.
Yeah, and during the winners' interviews that they had on day 1 of the tournament, GE was actually mentioning how they haven't had as much time to watch all of their opponents' VODs, but obviously all the information from the coaches and the analysts that's coming through is still more than enough, because they've had textbook replies for every single opponent that they have played.
Right, and that's the problem is when you look at the champion pools, they're just pretty big. The exception maybe with Lee on this team, but there are so many other bans that he doesn't ever really have to worry about running out of junglers, and Janna tried to ban him out, and then even when he was playing pretty badly on Rengar, they still found a lot of ways to win because they gave so many power picks over to the rest of the Tigers.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of teams have been struggling week in and week out. And remember, in Korea, too, these are best of 3 matches. Teams have had a chance to adapt to what the GE Tigers are throwing at them, and there has still been, the only real answer is Faker's LeBlanc.
Looks like there might be some action here in the mid lane. Xiye taking a bit of damage from KurO's Yasuo. Lee waiting in that river. And here he comes. Oh, not quite getting the angle, but there's Spirit right there. Lee on the defensive now. There's the knockup, but it doesn't connect. Lee having to burn that flash to get back into it. A little bit of a missed timing there, I suppose.
I want to touch on, oh, look at that. Xiye jumped on by KurO and he eats the charm.
Yep. Oh, here's Spirit though. KurO, did you not know that Spirit was just there? Looks like he's ready anyway. Doesn't even need to use that flash. Meanwhile, Smeb a bit low in that top lane. Aluka, of course, did use that trick to get the fast level 2 against the Raptors with the 1 death early on.
Yeah, and such a lane bully. Sion is so frustrating to deal with because he's constantly kicking his minions into your face. And we've not seen Lee try to move towards the top lane. He did wait for Smeb to get ganked first before giving him some assistance previously. But to go back to your previous point, Monty, Fakers, LeBlanc was the only thing that beat them, as you highlighted.
Decisively,
yes. Touche. However, tomorrow, the Western mid lane god has some great champions in his pool, and if Bjergsen is going to try lead TSM to any map victories tomorrow at all, it's going to have to be of some incredible assassin performances.
Yeah, almost certainly, because you have to get those 1v1 kills against them, because once GE groups up, it's lights out. I mean, there's not really been anybody... Janna has that 1 win, but it's been a while since that victory. And GE has just improved from that point forward. Spirit getting a ward in. He will pop, actually, Lee's Raptor buff right there by putting his trinket into the tri-brush. Making a play right here. This is potentially a vulnerable Rumble.
Oh boy,
He's not 6.
Smeb very, very low. He flashes right away, dodges some skill shots. Aluka taking some turret hits. Lee coming up to provide a bit of support, but he's not even needed. Smeb doing a very good job dodging things there.
I mean, WE, they had the level 6 advantage. They might as well go for that one. They didn't tank the turret exactly in the best way possible. And considering he knew Lee was in the top side, I think they couldn't commit to that as much as they might have liked. And now Smeb with the equalizer going to make it a lot more difficult.
Yeah, and again, for World Elite, even though they're even in lanes at the moment, despite the bottom lane actually Mystic being bullied around by Prey and Gorilla, if they don't get a lead, if they don't get ahead of GE Tigers, once GE start grouping up, they're just going to put so much pressure with Rumble, with Yasuo and Nami. That team fight is terrifying.
It's really interesting, actually. He's starting Cutlass on Yasuo in the mid lane. So, of course, typically we see Yasuo go for the static shift first just to take advantage of his passive and give him some more wave clear. This says to me that he's going for very aggressive trades in this situation, that he wants to repeatedly trade and be able to continue to just heal back up to full health and keep that minion wave pushed. Of course, the setup in this game, pretty darn good for Yasuo overall, and if we see the same kind of decisive team fighting, the setup off the tidal wave is going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, and KurO, of course, maxing his E on that Yasuo sweeping blade, so if he's going to get into melee range, makes his life a lot easier to land the knock-up from Steel Tempest once he gets those stacks up from his Q. So KurO could just be looking to set himself up. An easier line, it's going to be very difficult to hit an Ahri with the range tornado because of the fact she's going to have that Spirit Rush. So smart play, and this is some support for Smeb. Almost like a repeat to the previous game. Smeb gets ganked. This time he doesn't give up first blood.
Yep.
And then
like Aluka might be in trouble. There's his zoning. Yeah, zoning equalizer comes down. Aluka is going to have to try to flash away. Well, no flash available. There's a nice Aqua Prism from Gorilla, and first blood goes to Lee. And everyone runs from Ghost to Aluka, or double Ghost to Aluka, I suppose. They get out clean.
Lee's been taking a lot more kills this tournament than he normally does. I'm pretty sure that one was pretty safe to hand over there, considering it was at max like 2v3 up in the top side, and they weren't that committed to the dive yet, but they do get that kill.
Gorilla.
All the same, and should give it to Gorilla, of course, naturally.
You're absolutely right, MonteCristo. I'm glad we're on the same page with that one.
The one thing that Jarvan has shown at the World Championships is the ability to get early dragons, so World Elite that managed to grab that solo, but now Xiye's in trouble. Was in trouble.
Maybe still, no, not really. Oh, goes in. A little bit of damage. Aluka just using that ult to get back to lane fast. Smeb, an agile robot suit. He's on the run now as well. A little bit of damage. Actually, Aluka turning around. The minions starting to poke away at him a bit.
Is there any champion that's funnier than Sion?
No, there's not.
I don't think so.
You just can't help but laugh when he ults. It's fantastic.
You know he's usually going to miss, too. That's the best part. It just seldom ends well, you know.
I sincerely hope that live audiences start rattling their feet more when Sion's running. It's something that has been picked up in the LCS studio because we're seeing a fair amount of Sion.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you just end up feeling the rumble. And the reason it's so brilliant is it always ends in a because it never hits.
Yeah.
It never finds a target.
I think you can add that like, whoa, while you rumble with your feet. But
well, don't say Rumble. That's confusing because that's a different champion.
Stamp your feet.
That's right.
Buzz Killer Doa.
No.
But yes, standard lanes, standard CS, kill advantage to GE, despite being down a dragon, but it doesn't matter because at some point GE will start grouping and then you don't want to fight Rumble in the dragon pit.
Yeah. Fair enough. Oh, Brain Gorilla doing a lot of damage to the spot turret.
Mystic starting the tier, so he is getting pushed in a little bit, going into Trinity Force immediately afterwards, so looking for a little bit of a faster power spike. But Prey's really going to have an edge from not having bought that tier for a short little while.
And I really don't like that. If you look at World Elite's team comp, there's not a lot of damage. Nothing's going to come from Sion, not a huge amount from Spirit. When you've only got 2 damage sources, I'm not a big fan of the AD carry Manamune build, but
in the late game it can work. In the late game it can work, but like especially you have to get there, right?
Yes,
I totally agree that it's very unlikely in the situation that you actually get there. And the other thing is that wind wall can block so much of Ahri's damage. Oh, yeah. You know, one good wind wall in an engagement, and that like halves the damage output of the team.
Even more if you count True Shot Barrage in there, Mystic Shots, etc. There's so many options.
Here we go. Lee coming in from behind, trying to get a play into Xiye. He's going to kick him back. There's a last breath pop by KurO. KurO trying to get the damage. Ignite used. Is it enough? Doesn't look like it will quite be. And Xiye just barely gets out, sub 50 health.
That was actually really nicely played by Xiye to get out of that one, because he did get a lot of distance with the Spirit Rush and then flash right back over towards his turret. So he did lead GE on a merry little chase. Xiye has been very impressive individually this tournament, I have to say, which is what we would expect from a #1 player in solo queue.
Yeah, great pickup. In contrast to Ninja, who only really looked good this sort of last week, who Xiye is replacing. Very, very confident, and there is so much pressure coming up against GE Tigers. Arguably, almost definitively, the strongest team, and she is just not phased. The only thing is, in this matchup, notice how he doesn't have a winning lane necessarily anymore, and now she is feeling the pinch. He's down on CS against KurO. Yes, he did just get ganked, but leading up to that point, KurO had been playing very aggressively and wasn't in a passive mid lane matchup anymore.
And this is very atypical of KurO as well. He normally does not play this aggressively during the laning phase, so he's switching things up, toying with his style a little bit, because he's usually the one who's just sitting right back at his turret, and he just farms and ends up being spot on in the team fights in the late game. You generally see more aggressive play out of Smeb up in the top side instead, but this time it has been a lot of wave pressure coming out of KurO.
Yeah, it's interesting as we see Prey take this bottom turret completely unopposed, but again, just showing how GE Tigers seem to kind of come with something new every time you see them. Oh, what, now KurO can play this aggressive mid lane style too? It's so scary for anyone that has to play this team.
But that's what the greatest teams do, right? They constantly adapt. They make the changes that are necessary in order to keep teams guessing about what they're going to do next and to instill that worry and fear in their opponents as they go into a series.
Xiye coming up to try to make a play on Smeb in the top lane. Aluka misses that ult. But here comes Xiye. It's still going to be a lot of damage. Out Charm misses. Tidal Wave misses as well. Everything missing. Smeb does go down. Doesn't look like the turret is going to finish off Aluka, but it looks like Xiye in a lot of trouble. Lee kicks him back under turret, but turret does not want to cooperate there. Knockback onto Prey. And it looks like Xiye will escape from this one. Wow.
Yeah, but they're so chunked out, and now they're just going to push down the top lane turret. So, in fact, just by diving Smeb right there, they committed so much HP to that engagement that they're actually going to lose an objective off of it unless Spirit can trade in the mid lane, which, given how little damage that turret has taken, I don't think is going to be too likely. It's probably about 50% HP right now.
There is a siege minion though, so unless somebody gets there quickly enough, maybe that'll be a close one.
Smeb actually didn't teleport into the mid lane, but looks like KurO, he's actually taking the long way around. He is scared. So they had a chance to save that tower had they used the teleport, but instead going down into the bottom side. I think that's a little bit of an error.
And it's interesting to see how World Elite 2 games in a row have focused Smeb's Rumble, but I feel it's like a little bit too late. Let's see if they can get a second kill this time around.
3 more coming.
Dove again, that's right, but they're not going to be able to get there soon enough to save Smeb. Can GE try to equalize this one? Aqua Prison gets flashed out of by Spirit. And will the fight continue? Lee thinking about coming over the wall, but I don't think he's going to find an opportunity. Dragging up in 2 seconds, too.
I really like that play from World Elite. They had the numbers in the middle lane. They realized that Mystic could push bottom, and as a team, they were on the same page to get another quick kill. This will also lead to the second dragon of the game for World Elite, so they're keeping themselves relevant. They ended up trading towers despite giving up a kill. But it's pretty good decision making. It's calculated, and hopefully for World Elite they can make more of those plays in the coming minutes.
Yeah, not only that, but they knew Equalizer was down, and he had just burned his TP as well. So there's really no counterplay after that. Definitely a good call from WE. Aluka going for the Shroud and the Cowl, actually, before picking up anything else, so...
And Smeb looks like he's going for Leandri's again. It appears to be another Leandri's rush, so something that... There's a lot of arguments for and against the efficiency of the item and whether or not you're going to keep somebody in place long enough, etc., etc. But again, it can work against Aluka, who is stacking HP, who is stacking some MR.
Yeah, I think in the long run, definitely a great item to have on Rumble. Just not sure if you want to get it immediately or not. KurO now finishes his static shift pretty late right there on this Yasuo.
Well, he did get that Cutlass first, so you'd imagine that would be a little bit later than normal. GE trying to take this mid lane turret Spirit, though, coming down, Mystic firing that true shot barrage up to clear
it's top
something
lane.
in the top lane.
I wonder if it hits Smeb.
There we go. Nice. Nice shot. Wow, got him all the way across the map. That was amazing.
It was intended.
Yep. Totally intended.
But the scary thing for World Elite is GE Tigers have got Trinity Force, have got that Shiv, they've got the Haunting guys and almost level 11 on Smeb. So if GE were to decide they wanted a tower, say this middle tower, and they decide to all group up, there's a lot of damage.
Xiye coming in, trying to do some damage to Prey. There's the tidal wave to zone a bit. That leaves Ahri on her own, and Prey managed to pick up a kill. Spirit traps him in the Cataclysm, though. Prey trying to do damage. Knock up, though, by Janna. And Aluka comes in and just stomps him flat. GE will go ahead and trade 1-1 with WE there. That was a good Sion ultimate. There we go.
Oh, Prey, I was flashing forward for that kill. Xiye was already zoned out of the fight. They want this turret anyway. Really unnecessary to go in.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Boy.
There's the kick onto Spirit.
Yeah, last breath will get another kill for KurO. Equalizer should save some of the GE Tigers, but no, Ezreal manages to pick off Lee Sin there. Support's backing away, and Aluka still being kind of the big tank they need him to be right now.
World Elite managed to hold on to the tower for the time being, and they managed to pick up a kill. KurO doesn't have the damage to just insta-gib all of World Elite. He still needs to build up that Blade of the Ruined King, still needs to build up some more flat AD. So World Elite, despite being jumped on and giving up that initial presence in the mid lane, again, they've responded relatively well, and they've kept it even. The problem is, again, you need to be ahead.
Yeah,
if you're playing against GE.
Yeah.
Also, some really greedy play right there from GE. When you have to, they really have to keep the goal in mind. And the goal is to get that turret, which Xiye had a very poor engage right there that was kited beautifully by GE. Prey trying to flash forward, getting himself in that Cataclysm range, and then having no other answers to get out meant that he died, and it did stall out that push. And then also, we did see Lee flash in for a kick onto just Spirit, which they tower dove with the Yasuo ult. Spirit didn't even have Cataclysm, but it was certainly not the best use of those summoners and those combos.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if GE is styling a bit here or what.
I think that might be possible. I mean, keep in mind too that they were a bit sloppy in the last game, and they ended up down a few thousand gold. Being kind of sloppy in this game too, but this time they're up by a few hundred gold. So despite still, maybe not the cleanest play from GE, they still are kind of sticking with it even better than they did in game one. Not going to stop Aluka from taking that top turret though, and that will even up the turrets at least between WE and the GE Tigers.
And GE have they've got their sights set on this mid turret. They've stayed here for the better part of the last 3 minutes, and they've always had multiple resources trying to push the wave through and trying to get it under control. And it hasn't resulted in the tower yet, but you could argue that's because of the tower dive.
Well, look at the flank wards too. Without that tower, they do have to have much more commanding vision around the mid lane as they attempt to siege, but it's all there on both sides, covering any entrance that WE could take through this. WE with good wards on the top side too, so that Aluka can keep pushing up and playing aggressively. Smeb now with that Leandri's.
Yeah, that previous bottom lane play where World Elite transitioned from the mid outer to the bottom lane where they towered over Smeb was also in part thanks to the vision that have been placed around this. So if World Elite can decide to, or opt to play around either the mid lane or the red side jungle of GE Tigers, they can just transition quite seamlessly and relatively safely thanks to all that vision they've afforded themselves.
Yeah, and the question that comes in here too is once the Blade of the Ruined King is done on Yasuo, who's going to stop the split push? And WE doesn't really have an answer because there's the percent HP damage onto Rumble and onto Yasuo at this point that is going to make it very difficult for this Sion to stay alive in the mid game. And to stop the pressure, and Ahri has had to build pretty defensively, doesn't actually have a lot of damage items at this point in the game, and KurO pretty far ahead.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Yasuo as well against some of those big CC-based tanks, because not only will Blade of the Ruined King burn through the HP, but Yasuo is going to have that bonus armor penetration once he decides to ult. So if Aluka is the unlucky... Oh!
Whoa, did he get it? He got it. Nice. Mystic stealing that blue buff with the true shot barrage, not bad.
And you'll notice what happened right there was GE placed a pink ward, then cleared out a blue ward, so Mystic was actually judging that true shot barrage before they even started it.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Very impressive by Mystic. Dragging up in a couple seconds now. Looks like Xiye might be able to take this bottom turret. KurO wants to say no. He's going to go in on this. Wow, Xiye in a little bit of trouble. That's a lot of damage coming in from Yasuo, and KurO smart. He doesn't need to continue this. He just needs to poke Ahri out and get ready for that dragon, and that's exactly what he's doing.
He didn't even have to use his ult.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
smart play from KurO as well, because you saw World Elite leave the mid lane towards River, so would have been a relatively risky engage.
And by popping her ult at the same time, you really set yourself up in a good position, especially around this dragon. Xiye a bit low and ultless as this goes in. Smeb walking down right now. There's the TP from Sion.
yeah, Prey's got to back off. He's a little bit forward here. Blue team does take the dragon, though. WE managed to steal it, and now Prey in a little bit of trouble. Knockup's coming in. Aluka making a big difference. Equalizer does go down. Mystic with the first kill. Aluka still charging down the river. That's a double kill now for Mystic. GE on the run. Spirit coming in to try to make something happen again. Smeb turning with that flame spitter, but again, a triple kill now for Mystic. KurO in a little bit of trouble. He's slowed up, trying to get back to that turret. There's another kill, and it looks like WE, they might actually be able to get an ace. Mystic coming in again. Wind wall goes up. Yasuo comes back in. KurO gets a shutdown onto Mystic. So in the end, an ace for WE, but KurO at least gets something out of it. WE gets the turret as well. A big win and the dragon. Wow, well played by WE.
And right there, GE was really not committed to either taking the dragon or actually turning right there. Aluka did get the flank in. And in spite of the fact that there was a tidal wave for the disengage, Smeb places a three-man equalizer and walks forward, gets knocked back by the monsoon. So there is no engage onto the back line. Aluka doing a good job of tanking up front, and you know, GE just not very decisive in that team fight. They could have used the equalizer a lot earlier right there and tried to make something happen. And KurO, I don't believe, ever used his ultimate during that engagement too, so didn't take advantage of the Nami wave whatsoever. I mean, this isn't a champion that he's known for. Now Mystic is going to die, and he actually forces a flash out of YuZhe here at the end as well. You can see the tornado coming in, may have been able to finish him off.
Yeah, I think the tornado into that last breath definitely would have, but that is a massive win for World Elite. Another tower, another dragon, so that's their third of the game, as well as the near ace, was ace actually. All of the gold was spent completing that hourglass for Xiye, so that's going to give him more survivability against the Yasuo all-in. And with the fact that Mystic is now 4-1-3, that little hump that his build had suffered is now being overcome. So that late game is being accelerated for the carry that needs to have the damage on the side of World Elite, and they're not stopping yet.
There's a wind wall, just keeping KurO safe there. He did finish his Blade of the Ruined King, so it's an important buy now for Yasuo. Added a little bit more critical hit onto that afterwards as well with his next item buy. But once again, we see GE Tigers down by a few thousand gold. Down a little bit farther maybe than we saw them last game.
For GE Tigers, this team comp needs to be even tighter when they group up. And to explain that in a little bit better wording, because of the fact that KurO is so dependent on getting 2 or 3 or the important people knocked up for that last breath, if he's not in sync with Gorilla or Lee's kickbacks 100% in sync, you're going to have those team fights again where KurO is spending most of his time kiting and running around, waiting for the opportunity to go in.
Well, I think that one was just confusion as to whether they were fighting at all, because if if Smeb was going to go in after the equalizer like that, you needed KurO to go in with the last breath first when the Nami tidal wave hit the most of the team. So GE just not executing that particularly well, and Aluka just doing a good job of tanking right up there in the front line and allowing Mystic to clean up from the back.
Yep, now GE Tigers, when they came into this tournament, they said that they were going to win it without dropping a single game. And I feel like right now we're seeing them kind of coming the closest to not doing that that we've seen yet.
Now, GE still is this Sion, which we have seen so difficult to kill this tournament. This is a team with 2 Blades and a Leandries. So this is going to be exceptionally powerful at dealing with some of these big frontline tanks, and also if they have any opportunity to take Baron whatsoever, it is going to die extraordinarily quickly. So they don't need a big timing window, and WE has to keep their eyes on that objective.
I also like the fact that for GE, they do have multiple damage threats. The fact that you do have top, mid, and AD carry. Sion, as you've already rightly pointed out, Monty, is just going to be for the front line, and if he doesn't stun and he doesn't get those knockouts for Xiye and Mystic, it's not going to work out well enough. Xiye needs to hit those charms to remove one of the threats from the Tigers.
Right. GE successfully defending that bottom tier 2 turret for the moment anyway.
I wonder if they're going to dive this, considering Smeb isn't there. They do see him in the mid lane. They've got a good position on it right now. Some poke coming over the wall.
20 seconds for TP from Smeb.
And only a minute till that next dragon, too. Spirit taking some damage. Aluka coming in. There's a tidal wave going through. Last breath doing some damage. Lee getting a bit low, though. First kill comes in for Sion onto KurO, and now Mystic starting to make something happen. Oh, they caught prey in that little area by the lane as well, too. And GE just getting destroyed in another team fight. Another kind of lack of coordination. It looked like KurO going in very early and just getting blown up, and then things getting worse from there.
Prey's positioning, too, was terrible during that team fight, getting caught along the wall and easily killed, and now WE, the massive gold lead and taking out an inhibitor. So they've established a very firm foothold in this game, and they found the right engagements.
MonteCristo, this might be the first competitive loss on Corki for Prey.
Shocking.
Possible, yeah. We're seeing
Definitely
a little bit of the old Prey, though, you know, I mean, that's the Prey from about a year ago or so, the one that had kind of trouble with positioning in team fights. The Prey from this year has been great, but this game, not so much.
It'd be a big come-from-behind victory at this point for GE. We'll see if WE can close it out. They've had the better positioning in the team fights so far.
I think they've punished GE's maybe lack of experience on this mid lane Yasuo. Every time GE have grouped up, it's not been 100%, ooh, that's a big hit.
Yeah.
Hasn't been 100% on point, and World Elite, they just consistently find good fights. The Sion is working this game. I'm not traditionally a massive fan, but it seems to go in.
Ooh, Lee going in just by himself and dying. Where is the coordination here? And look at that, Aluka coming in, threading the needle, getting a lot done. And GE Tigers in trouble yet again. A double kill coming in for Xiye. Pops that Zhonya's Hourglass, and Smeb not able to get back for the kill. I think he got charmed there as well and Prey down. That is a perfect ace for WE. That's
going to be the game.
I think they're going to go try to end it. I think you're right. Wow, I can't believe it. GE Tigers, I mean, we've seen them be a bit sloppy before in the past, but this kind of, it's a new level, and you can't do that against a team like WE. They played it out very well.
I'm actually super surprised they're not trying to end right now, considering there's still a 20-second timer onto Corki. They want a dragon instead. It will be number 4 for them, but I feel like WE had a really good opportunity right there.
A lot of respect for GE Tigers running the risk of getting caught out. KurO didn't use his last breath either, so if they had barreled together at a Nexus turret, maybe, well, they could have got caught out.
He went in and tried to get the kick so that KurO could ult right there. That was the entire purpose of that move, and you really see this Yasuo is not something that GE is used to playing around. And let's take a look at this. I mean, Lee was hiding in the pit that entire time. There is the kick.
On both. KurO just didn't pull the trigger. Xiye and Mystic were mid-air.
Was he close?
Yeah. Well,
definitely. The range is very, very large.
And so they get him in the choke in the end, but they just can't get the coordination in these team fights. She's going to dash forward right here, get out of the equalizer, and then go ahead and Zhonya's baits the flash out of Smeb, and Prey not timing his rocket correctly. YuZhe will come in with the W. And there's the double kill from Mystic, who's been doing just a great job of positioning and staying behind his tanks this game.
Wow, well, there you have it. WE with a possible chance, and they opt to just grab that dragon again. Now 10,000 gold ahead. This is absolutely the biggest deficit we've seen GE have in 2015.
Well, and it's great play from World Elite. They are playing aggressively. It's what they didn't do, in my opinion, as effectively in the previous game. And the Sion is enabling that in some ways, thanks to that ultimate being able to charge in. But what I also like from World Elite, they've had great vision. Once again, if you look at that minimap, it is just littered with blue wards. GE, oh!
Whoa, and meanwhile, Lee gets a little bit too close, gets taken out, and WE is going to try to take this Baron now. Oh no, and Gorilla comes up again. He's like, I'm next. Double kill for Xiye.
Maybe Xiye was sandbagging playing Diana because he knew that he could play Ahri and LeBlanc in the
very, very effective for them.
Yeah, it's been a great pickup. I think we might see that banned in the next game. I would imagine we're going to go to game 3 here. Baron's still being worked on by WE. Looks like they'll be able to get it. And Mystic just pushing into that mid lane now. And with the Baron buff, with the inhibitor down, with GE's seeming inability to use this comp in a team fight, I think we can assume WE's going to take this one.
Yeah, we should be seeing a game 3 right here as WE goes through the motions of cleaning this one out. And
yep.
Aluka so tanky at this stage. It kind of all went wrong in that fight in the bottom lane where they weren't on the same page.
Yeah.
Where Mystic did pick up a triple.
Yeah, and it just continued to roll through there. Got the items completed. Interestingly, if World Elite finish before, I think, 37 minutes 20 is what I took stock of the previous game. It'll give World Elite the choice of sides.
That's huge.
In that deciding match. And here comes Aluka one more time.
Whoop, right through the middle. And GE gets a chance to turn this one around. There's an Aqua Prison, but Spirit comes in with a knock-up on the Smeb. Tidal Wave cannot save him. Zonius goes down. That's a big cataclysm. GE blown up very quickly. Double kill already for Xiye. And WE with an easy cleanup in this team fight. Prey able to do nothing as he's taken down. Another kill for Mystic. That's a double for him, I believe, this fight. Nope, just a single. He took out the inhibitor as well. There go the Nexus turrets. And the GE Tigers, if they win this one, they're not going to do it perfectly because WE is forcing a game 3.